This week, we're reading The Trouble with Kings by Sherwood Smith, otherwise known as...
By the way, you were a really bad girl. Hi, readers. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Katie.
And welcome to Not Another Heroine, Season 2, the podcast where we break down the best and worst fictional heroines of any genre. Because that's what we do now.
Want to see what's next on our TBR list? Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Instagram for a sneak peek at upcoming content or to help us pick our next book.
And we're back with a book we talked about in Season 1.
Mm-hmm.
This is called A Trouble with Kings by Sherwood Smith.
Didn't we have a reader recommend this at some point?
So a reader recommended another book by Sherwood Smith,
A Stranger
to Command. That's Videnric's story.
Oh, yeah.
And like most people who get recommended books, we just stubbornly ignore all of our recommendations and just decide what works best for us in the moment.
Yeah. And then we come back and we're like, oh, that was actually like
a
decent,
really good one. Yeah. Like I'm that has to happen to everyone because
it has to. There's no way.
Like, I do that to myself. I'll go buy books. I'm like, that looks good. And then I just never touch it. Like, it just sits on, like, I have stacks of books in this room right now. I'm like, yeah, those were pretty.
It's just for, the vibe. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, shit, it has some depth.
Yeah. But this one was a little troubling for us.
Very clever.
I didn't do that on purpose.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were being snarky. I'm sorry. I feel like I hurt you.
That was a blonde moment.
Oh, one hundo that it was.
Sidebar, I had the biggest blonde moment in the last few months at work.
No.
So we have a coffee pot. Like someone brought in like a coffee pot instead of a dumb Keurig. Mm-hmm. And I went to make coffee in the morning and I pulled out the little thing. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to rinse this out and dump it out and put the coffee in it. And I'm like, that needed a filter.
Oh, that is the worst. The worst.
I did 2 pots like that.
Oh my God. I like that someone probably opened it to clean it and they're like, what?
It was someone the next day were like, did you try and make some coffee yesterday?
Did you try? Oh no.
Everywhere.
Oh no.
So that's kind of like this book actually.
Coffee grounds everywhere.
Coffee ground, well intentioned, but a little messy.
Yeah, messy. Because we were talking, this kind of feels like a first draft of Crown Duel. Mm-hmm. Just a little bit less polished. There's some kind of fun stuff there, but it maybe needed a strong scrubbing.
Yes, or a revisit of Crown Duel with a different flavor of characters.
I feel that. I didn't hate it. Didn't love it. I read it and finished it.
Yeah.
But
it kind of ebbs and flows. You go through periods oh, I have to read the next page. And there's periods I'm going to put this book down for a week.
Yeah.
The character Fil-ee-en is we're deciding to address.
Back to this again.
Fil-ee-en is quite the opposite of Mel from Crown Duel. So what we were kind of discussing before we started getting rolling is you're either a Mel or you're a Fil-ee-en. And Katie...
I'm a Mel.
And I'm a Flian. So
I jump to conclusions and get it wrong.
And I sometimes think too much and then come to the wrong conclusion anyway. So there you go.
We are not good decision makers.
No, we are not. So there's a lot to like about this book, but there's also a lot to kind of get into the weeds on. So we'll just kind of get into it.
Yeah. Jason gives me Kylo Ren vibes.
Oh, well, yeah. Have you seen the cover of this book?
Oh my God.
Come on.
Also, why does she look like she's 12?
I
don't love that.
I don't either.
I feel like whoever photoshopped that cover together maybe needed
so this is Sam Hain Publishing. This is an indie publisher from the early 2000s.
Nice.
So probably covers didn't have a lot of fan art available.
I could see that. But yeah, that man is Kylo Ren adjacent.
And he's Shivraeth, but unpolished. He is not a courtly dude. He doesn't know how to manipulate people. He's just I got a sword.
Yeah, 100%. He kind of reminds me of those emo scene guys in the mid 2000s that have chipped black fingernail polish.
Oh,
I don't know why that's coming to mind, but that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from him. He's doesn't talk a lot, just has his own plans, doesn't tell anyone about them.
Just does his own thing and expects everyone to follow along. Yeah, that's Jason.
At odds with his family.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks he's an asshole. the things are lining up.
Actually, yes, quite a bit.
Yeah.
But
I still love him.
It's
Sorry.
You might need to talk about that with someone.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I also like Kylo Ren, so there's a theme here. There's a trend.
Hurricane Wars, anyone? Yeah.
Yeah. We don't talk about that.
Okay. All right. We kind of Fil-ee-en gets dropped. Like, we open with pure chaos, which
100%.
I kind of loved how this whole scene, like, opening starts.
Mhm.
So she wakes up, Fil-ee-en wakes up in a cottage with absolutely no memory of how she got there. And, like, there's a middle-aged woman who's like, "Hi, sweetheart. Like, how you doing? You little beaten up.
Are you okay?"
And she's like, "I'm clearly not okay."
I am covered in bruises and I don't know who I am.
And so she's like, "I guess I'm just going to chill here." And then, like, this handsome, well-dressed lord swaggers into the cottage and he's like, "Hi, I'm your cousin." And by the way, you were a really, bad girl, and you
Why did you say it like that?
I don't know, it just came out, it felt right. And he tells Fil-ee-en that, well, one, she can't remember her name anyway, that that she encouraged her carriage driver to drive way too fast, and her carriage toppled off the road, huge accident, driver dead, she got beat up, and that's how she got where she is. So her cousin, whose name is Garion.
Sorry. I don't know why that was funny.
I don't know. It's kind of funny. He's like, "Well, I'll take you back to my castle, patch you up." And she's like, "Okay, that sounds nice. You're handsome." He's like red hair.
I imagined an evolution from Akatar.
Yeah.
Like kind of suave, but kind of a little like moody. And
yeah. Like the people who are a little too handsome.
Yeah. And they use it for evil.
Yeah. That's Garion. And so he takes her back to the castle, and like, she's not allowed to look in the mirror, and it's because she is pretty beat up. And yeah, obviously we know she's not allowed to look in the mirror because they don't want her memory to get triggered, so something shady's going on. But she's kind of like just rolling with it, and that is Fil-ee-en to a T. She just kind of rolls with everything.
Just here.
Just here for the ride.
Yep. I love how chaotic these first couple chapters are.
You kind of like, it's the first time I've read like a memory loss scene where you actually like understand and feel like you're in the perspective of the character, because she has no fucking idea what's going on.
I love all of her scenes. She's like, "Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Sure, yeah, let's do it."
Yeah, because how else would you react? Like,
including marriage.
Yeah. So she's like recovering. She's kind of locked in. She's getting medicine every night from her tea, and like it's making her super drowsy. And then all of a sudden, Garion's like, "Hey, by the way, look at this tall, scary man. This is your future husband, and you guys were in love and were engaged, and like we're gonna get married." Yeah.
It's just Jason with the like side swoop over, and I have black hair, and he's like, "Hey, I'm Jason." Oh my God, sorry.
No, that
She's
was
like, "I don't know that I like this, but like, okay."
He's like, "I guess I love you."
Yeah, this kind of feels yucky because you're kind of scary. But evolution said you're cool.
Yeah, and she rolls with it. She just keeps going with everything.
Like, okay. I love thinking back on it. She did not question anything.
No.
She's like, yeah, sure, yep, that makes common sense, I guess. Not really, but sure, yep. Gonna get married. I don't know him. He's scary.
Yeah, so she gets put in her wedding dress. She has this weird moment, like one evening with a lute. She sees a lute and she's like, "Oh, I like that thing, and it seems familiar. Okay, let's go back to the wedding."
She does not question.
No, not at all. She's a little Pollyanna, a little bit.
Yeah.
And so she's in her wedding dress. They are starting the wedding ceremony preparations. Everyone's in the hall, and it's kind of like a weird vibe.
Yeah. Everything's a little bit sus.
Yeah.
A little fun house.
But she's okay with it. She's just going with it.
Rolling with the punches.
Yeah. And then out of nowhere, a man on a horse gallops in to the wedding ceremony. Guards come out of the walls and take down everybody. Fil-ee-en is like scooped up and they gallop away. And she's like,
"Okay,
what is going on? Who are you? Guess I'll go in here now."
Oh God, this woman is just vibing not well.
No.
And then she gets taken to a cave
So
adjacent.
it's like an encampment. There's like and they're poor. Like, they don't have great clothes. They're
Yeah.
It's a little Robin Hood-esque.
That's what I was thinking. Robin Hood coded.
Yeah, and so the guy on the horse who kidnapped her from her own wedding looks strangely similar to Jason. He's got dark hair, no mustache, thank God.
The mustache. Can we talk about this for a second?
Oh, God.
I just pretended that was not a thing.
I don't want
Like a thin, tiny over the
Yeah.
lip line mustache with eyeliner. You got me fucked up.
Okay.
What?
You've seen The Princess Bride, yes?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Because I don't like it there either.
Yeah, but that's kind of like... So Jason repeatedly gets described as having this pencil-thin mustache across his upper lip.
That was insane.
Yeah.
But it again kind of strikes me as the like 15-year-old emo kid who's like, I'm older, I can grow like facial hair, and it's just like too little, like wispy.
Like, here's the deal, my dudes: have a beard or don't have a beard.
Yep.
There's no in between.
Nope. You're either a beard man or you don't.
Yeah, and the only other options are Mario and Hitler. Like, that's it. I think I killed Katie.
Oh my God. You're right, but the range of those options. I want that to be the episode title, but there's no way we can do that.
No, we can't.
My soul left my body. I'm back.
Okay, so Jamie is the man who kidnapped Fil-ee-en, and he does not have a mustache, so he is
Thank God.
not either of those two options. He, however, is Jason's brother,
Yes.
and he and Jason do not get along.
No. I love within the first 5 minutes of him like, okay, I've kidnapped you. And he's like, I'm kind of sleepy. I'm just going to fall asleep.
On her bed.
I know. And she's like, okay, I guess I'm going to leave because this is like not a pro.
And she still doesn't remember shit.
Nope. And then she gets adopted by a very short, angry, bodacious Duel.
Bodacious. Yeah, actually. So there is Duel.
Yep.
Who looks very similar to Jamie.
Huh.
Long black hair.
Siblings?
Curvaceous.
Curvaceous. I love it. Yeah. I just imagined a short, curvy woman with a little bit too much attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all know someone like that.
But like in an endearing way, but a little bit like sometimes the things you say hurt.
Like attitude, but also a little dumb.
Yeah. Well-meaning.
Yeah. And so we have Jamie, Jewel, and Jason. Ta-da! Uh-huh. Yep. So
okay, Violet Bridgerton.
Yeah, backstory here is Jewel and Jamie are at odds with their brother Jason, who took over from their parents, and he is King Jason of Val Ranath, or whatever the name this country is.
Wow. You go, girl. That was more than I had.
I just think I made that up. I don't know.
I don't know. It felt legit.
Okay, well, there we go. Just like Fil-ee-en as a name, Jason is the king of this northern kingdom. They're like known for warriors and like poor weather.
They got warriors and poor weather.
It's like it's really cold.
You don't have to explain. Oh my God.
And they're poor.
Just, a little insult on there too.
And so and Fil-ee-en still doesn't know who she is. So Jason is like evil, and he's trying to like make all these alliances. He tried to marry Jewel off to Garyon, her cousin, and Garyon's not a nice boy.
Mm-mm.
And so Jewel's really mad about that. And so Jewel and Jamie kind of like escaped and fled and started their own little like band of warriors.
Highway gang.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I didn't quite understand like the division between Jason and then the other two siblings. I don't understand how that developed.
No.
But they're at odds with each other.
Yeah, that's about as much as you
That's all you know the entire fucking book.
Yep. Until they're not at odds.
Yeah. And I forget the exact moment that Fil-ee-en realizes like her memory comes back, but she's like sitting in the cave with Jewel talking.
Yeah, because she says something like weird, like a CH word, and then she blacks out, and then she's like, I remember everything. And then we're just expected to like go along with it.
Okay, but what she remembers is fucking wild.
Yeah.
Because Jamie kidnapped her first.
Yep. This woman has been through it.
Yeah. And this is just like the first 20 pages of this book.
Yeah.
So She remembers that she was at home in her wealthy kingdom. Fil-ee-en remembers that she is a very wealthy princess and everyone wants to marry her for her money, but she's kind of like dull. Like she describes herself as dull and boring. I like music, but I'm not really allowed to perform for people. So I just like go to my private lessons and people are gross. And like
same girl.
yeah. And so she's kind of like disenchanted with society and stuff. Like all these men are courting her for her wealth. She's got a brother who's like pretty much running the country because her father is sick and kind of aging. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where she comes from, like this wealthy kingdom and people. So Garion wanted to marry her cousin. So a little Game of Thrones there.
Yikes.
And Jaime wanted to kidnap her. So Jaime kidnaps her from her home at knife point for ransom. And Fil-ee-en realizes a little too late that he was never going to stab her in the first place. And so instead of like going along with her kidnapper, she's like, well, I'm just going to let these horses go. I'm going to get on a horse and I'm going to go back home. And so she escapes. So Fil-ee-en escapes from Jaime's first kidnapping attempt, goes back to her parents' house and is like, okay, well, fuck you guys. Fuck him. I'm going to go visit my cousin Garion because that sounds like a good idea.
No.
So what happens when she goes to visit Garion?
'Twas not. She was also kidnapped by Garion and then drugged and then re-kidnapped by someone else.
And beaten. Like, doesn't Garion like beat the shit out of her?
Oh, yeah. Because she has a black eye and everybody's like, where did you get this black eye? And she's like, I'm not sure. And then she's like, I was beat.
Yeah.
With
like,
a T.
Yeah, like locked in a room and he beat her until like she cooperated with him.
Yeah.
That's pretty dark.
God damn.
Yeah. And so I think he like was trying to force her to marry him. And then when that didn't work, he was going to force her to marry Jason.
Yeah.
For reasons unknown.
They were going to have an alliance, I think, because he needed warriors for something. And then like Jason needed some kind of support from someone else. Mm-hmm. There's some like political machinations going on, but they're never like described enough for you to feel like you understand what's going on.
Yeah, pretty much. So she bribes a servant while she's being held captive at Garion's castle, and she escapes on a horse, and then the horse throws her, and that's how she ends up in the cottage with her memory loss.
She biffs it.
Yeah. So she's been like kidnapped 4 times in the first start of this book.
Yeah. I think isn't that the opening line? She's like, I have been kidnapped 3 times in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's something snarky like that. Yeah, poor girl. Oh, do you like her interaction with Jewel for the first time, though? Because they're in the gang's hideout or whatever, and she's like kind of explaining what Garion was telling her, and Jewel is like angry. She's like, that fucking liar. And the whole time she doesn't have her memory yet. Civilian is like, he's a liar? And she's like, he's a liar. She's like, okay, like felt kind of weird, but like, can you explain? And Joel's like, he's a liar. And she's like, but can I get like some details of like what actually happened and who I am? And he's like, she's a liar. It's like, Jewel, like, please calm down and explain to this poor woman why she was beat and kidnapped 3 different times and who you are. Like,
and Jewel's got like 2 different modes. She's got like emotional outburst and like sullen and sulky.
Yeah.
I couldn't like Jewel. I felt like she was. Yeah. What's the one friend from Crown Duel that Mel makes that I feel like she's the opposite of Nee.
Oh, yeah. I could see that. Because Nee's kind of like, not gentle, but...
Yeah, but not like Jewel.
Yeah.
But anyway. So Filian and Jewel are like talking it out. Like they got their memory back. And like, well, this encampment sucks. And Jewel is like, I want pretty clothes and I want to go to balls. And you have a brother, right? And so they decide to escape. And they do so successfully. And they return to Filian's house.
That's what I mean. Some of these like movements kind of feel very not hokey, but like, how the fuck did that work?
Yeah.
They just left.
Yeah, they left.
They just left.
You're telling me this band of thieves and like guardsmen who are trained in battle just let 2 women escape?
Successfully staged 2 different kidnappings from 2 different locations?
Yeah. No.
Oh, but they're like, oh shit, where did the girl go that we kidnapped twice? She disappeared. I respect it because they're like, this is yucky. I want to go home. And then they went home.
Yeah. And then they meet Filian's brother, whose name is like, I don't remember. But he's described as being very similar to Fil-ee-en, which is like kind of tall and slender and, you know, like a number 2 pencil, kind of boring.
Yes. And that's basically all that happens for the first chunk, because it's really just Joel is tired of being dirty and poor, and she's like, I want to go to parties. And Fil-ee-en's like, I don't really like parties, but like, sure, let's go. And then they go.
That's something I really appreciated about Fil-ee-en as a character, because, you know, while problematic at some points, her relationship with Joel is interesting, because Fil-ee-en never judges her for wanting to like get dressed up and go to parties and flirt with boys and stuff like that. Fil-ee-en's like, well, that's not for me, but like if that's what you want to do, I'll help you do it. Like no judgment on my end. Like I feel like that's really rare, especially like in like real people.
Yeah.
Like it's, oh, you're different from me. You want to do this thing and I don't like that thing. So like obviously we can't be friends.
Or it's like you are friends with them, but you have this kind of like hidden resentment about it where you're like kind of secretly judging them or think that you're superior because they like this, you know, frivolous thing. But I feel like Fil-ee-en is pretty just like, I like that I have a friend now, and like I get that you have things that you like and I have things that I like, and we just kind of like hang out.
Well, and
appreciate it.
Before we kind of close out part 1, we needed to talk about Mini Twat Bitch.
That is her name,
okay.
Mini Twat Bitch.
So Fil-ee-en has got some hang-ups, like some social hang-ups from like growing up in court. And then there's this girl that she kind of grew up with in noble woman kind of thing. And everyone knows a girl like this.
100%.
What is her fucking name?
I don't know. Something like delicate and papery.
Yeah.
Powdered sugar-esque.
I pictured the girl from, you know, the Disney movie Princess and the Frog?
Oh, yeah.
The blonde ringlet girl, but like not as fun.
Yeah, way less fun. I kind of imagined, I feel like I had someone in my head specifically, just like the dainty bitch.
Yeah, the tiny, like, so this character is this tiny woman, like delicate wrist, like looks like you could break her over your leg, but wears super frilly clothes, like lace everywhere, pink. Like that's how I like to dress, but I don't because I'll look like a fucking 5-year-old. And so she kind of revels in emphasizing her own delicacy and like exaggerating how everyone else is. Like, oh, it must be nice to be so tall and you can reach everything, and oh, I can't do it because I'm just waif thin. That's this character.
I feel like I have a complex about this as, you know, someone that is large, 6 feet tall as a woman, but I got violently angry every time I read anything that she said, because it's like, it's one thing to be like small and like to be kind of like angry about it and be like, God, I wish I was like a little bit taller because this fucking sucks. But she's like, oh my God, I'm so dainty, flutters eyelashes, and you can tell that she actually fucking loves it. And it's like, I'm going to break you in half. I'm sorry. Nope. And she's such a bitch to Fil-ee-en
all the time. And it's that nasty girl passive aggressiveness, like just a slight little dig, like, oh, it must be nice to be so plain. People overlook you so you don't have a lot of attention. You must be able to leave whenever you want to.
And it makes me kind of sad because like Fil-ee-en's character, like who she is she's not someone that's going to fight back. And so she just has to take it from this like little waif shit bitch. And it's sad because she is trying to marry her older brother, Fil-ee-en's older brother, and like she's obsessed with him. And it kind of feels like this inevitableness of like Fil-ee-en's just going to be bullied by this woman for the rest of her life. And that's just that. And also the like woman has kind of installed herself as like the epitome of society of like, what is it? Like the trendsetter or the fashion center or whatever. And it's like Fil-ee-en can't really do anything, and she's not really interested in doing anything, but it's that like bully. It just makes me like angry.
Well, because Fil-ee-en was bullied by like this girl and all her cronies, and it's just because Fil-ee-en, despite being like the princess and like her brother's heir until her brother marries and has a kid, Fil-ee-en is just kind of withdrawn and like the opposite of what we get from like typical fantasy romance princesses, which is either like gung-ho, I'm gonna learn sword fighting and like stand up for myself, or like,
oh, I'm a delicate flower, but I'm secretly strong on the inside.
Yeah, and Flian, like, she's boring.
Yeah,
like she's 100%. She's very normal, which is kind of hard to read, I think, sometimes, because who wants to read about normal people? Like, that's That's probably would be me.
Yeah.
Like, not very interesting. I just want to read my books and play my little piano and be done.
Same. The one thing that did kind of irritate me about her character, though, is she definitely has a complex about this whole inheritance thing where she, like, only thinks that people are interested in her because she has this giant inheritance. Because, like, fucking every single time anyone talks to her, she's like, they are just talking to me for my money. It's like, girl, get the fuck over it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It is like every 5 pages. Like,
yeah, it's like find a new thing to be self-conscious about.
yeah. And I think that's not, it's fine. Like, that is how she developed as a character, but we don't need to be reminded of it often.
Yeah. And I feel like that kind of speaks to the, like, messy nature of this as a book. You could have taken out half of those kind of iterations.
What's interesting, though, is this is structured like they mashed Crown Duel and Court Duel together and overlapped it, versus Crown Duel is like, here's all the action and the gung-ho-ness, and Court Duel is, this is the court intrigue and the ballroom and the ball gowns and all that pretty fun stuff. And it's 2 distinct lines. And this is like trying to do both at the same time, and it doesn't work as well.
I agree with that, because it kind of, I will say it kind of gives me the impression of Pride and Prejudice a little bit, where, like, you feel like you're being taken along on some kind of development, but you're not really getting the scenes of development between, like, the characters. And, like, she has kind of a little bit of a complex about some things, but then she realizes, I can't explain it, but
yeah, I do. The writing style is unique, and I don't think a lot of people will like the writing style because it's a little old world. Like, it reads like kind of Jane Austen level, the way things are described. It's a lot less dialogue and a lot more like internal descriptions and stuff. And it's also kind of written like autobiographical, like someone telling you their life story and like skimming certain pieces. And like, oh, by the way, this thing happened, and oh, let's jump forward 2 weeks.
I agree. All of that being said, though, it was kind of fun at certain points. I was like, oh, I kind of enjoy this. But then you, like, put it down and you're like, okay, whatever. And then you pick it back up and you're like, oh, this is kind of fun. I feel like we're hating on it, but it wasn't bad.
No, it's not bad. And it, like, if you compare it to certain other books that are really popular right now, like, miles and miles better for like a first draft. Yeah, I guess just conflicted about this one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's part 1.
Was a sad ending.
This was a little less fun.
Yeah. I think it's just because this is a very meandering story. Like, there's individual scenes, but it feels like you're kind of not understanding the overarching plot until the end. And then you're like, oh, okay, I kind of understood why all of these scenes were happening. But it's like a scene happens, and then another scene happens, and another scene. And it's like, what's the overarching thing going on here?
The characters, though, I will say, if anything is done right, the characters are each very distinctive, and like you don't lose sight of them. So you know exactly who each person is and what they're like and what they're about.
Yeah. Kind of reads like a play almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
The Trouble with Kings. Sherwood Smith, part 1. From our shelf to yours.
We'll see you on the next page. Hi, readers. If you'd like to help us pick our next book, send us a message on Instagram.
Or if you'd like to just listen, we post new episodes every Monday and Wednesday on Spotify, Apple, and Amazon. Thanks for listening.
Bussin'.
Philanthropy? Fly? Flian. No, that seems wrong too.
Flian?
Fil-ee?
Fil-ee!
She's not a filly.
Oh, horse. We could just pick one.